Loving Eliza by Ruth and Nordin, Chapter 10. Eliza opened the kitchen door so Aaron and Sean could help John into his bedroom. They dumped him on the bed. "Thank you," she told them. "There was no way I could bring him in here all by myself." "I'm sorry," Sean said. "I had no idea he'd drink all the moonshine." "About that. Give me that flask." Aaron held out his hand. "No, I never get drunk off of it," Sean protested. "I just drink it once in a while to relax after a hard day of work." "I don't care," Aaron said. "You don't need to be drinking it all. Don't you see what it's doing to Jerry and his marriage? Now give it to me." Sean loudly groaned, but pulled it from his jacket pocket and handed it to his brother. "Fine. You never have any fun." "I'm the oldest brother in the family," Aaron replied. "It's my job to make sure you don't have any fun." Sean glanced at her and rolled his eyes. "He means that, too." "We played poker, didn't we?" Aaron pointed out. "Sure," Sean said, "but you gave Ron his money back." "Because we don't rip anyone off in the game. Ron needs that money." "You didn't mind ripping me off last time." "And you didn't mind cheating, either." Sean threw his hands up in the air. "I wasn't cheating. I don't know how that ace found its way up my sleeve." Aaron shook his head. "We'll get out of your way, Miss Sweet." Eliza waved to the arguing brothers and went to help John. She found him asleep on the bed, looking as if he didn't have a care in the world. She'd let him sleep with his clothes on, but she had to take off his boots. As she slid the last boot off of his foot, he stirred. She glanced up and saw that he was staring at her. She placed his boot next to the other one and stood up, placing her hands on her hips. "You're drunk," she said. He smiled and motioned for her to get closer to him. "Oh, no," she said. "I'm not getting near you. You, mister, are not in control of anything you're going to do." She'd been around drunk men before. The best thing to do was to get away from them. He sat up and patted the space next to him. "It's a good thing you don't act this way when you're sober, because if you did, I would have left a long time ago. You need to sleep," she insisted. "Lie down and close your eyes. Oh, make sure you sleep on your side. You don't want to choke on your vomit." She turned to leave. Once morning came and he woke up, he would be one unhappy man. Maybe she could get up early and make some coffee. By the time she made it to the kitchen door, she heard footsteps behind her. "You need to go to bed." She peered over her shoulder. "Rest." To her surprise, he stumbled forward and fell to the floor. She should just leave him there, but she didn't have the heart to leave him there all night. She hurried over to him as he clumsily made his way to his feet. He straightened his vest and smiled at her. "Come on, you need to go to bed." She reached for his arm. "This time you have to stay there. You hear?" He didn't budge. "John, don't make this difficult." He pointed to his ring finger. She let her exasperation show. Even when he was drunk, he couldn't stop proposing to her. What was she going to do with him? He took a step toward her, and before she could walk back, he wrapped his arms around her. "John!" He didn't let her finish her sentence. She gasped when he kissed her. The alcohol sure did make him bold. He was still gentle, but he wasn't hesitant like he'd been the other day when he kissed her by the creek. She was too taken off guard to know what to do, and for a moment she just stood there, in the kitchen with him, and she just let him kiss her. But the kiss was just as wonderful and as sweet as it had been that day when he first kissed her. She didn't want to enjoy it. She knew she shouldn't. And yet, she did. It was different when a man who cared about her kissed her than one who wanted to just use her body. She couldn't exactly pinpoint the difference, but she felt it. Despite her better judgment, she leaned against him and closed her eyes so she could better experience the kiss. Even if it was just this one time, she wanted to thoroughly enjoy kissing a man who sincerely cared for her. He cupped her face in his hands and deepened the kiss. She didn't realize she was clinging to him until her nails dug into his shirt sleeves. His lips were soft and warm, and she parted her mouth for him. He didn't seem to know what to do, so she traced his lips with her tongue. He paused for a second before he opened his mouth and let her taste him. The alcohol was evident, but she didn't care. Who knew that kissing a man could be this wonderful? This kind of thing could get addicting. He eagerly responded to her and explored her, as she explored him. Her heart raced with a mixture of joy and fear. She didn't know what else to do but stay near him and experience the moment. It was as if no one else existed. She loved it, loved feeling as if they were the only two people on earth and that no one could come between them. For the first time since her parents died, she felt safe and protected. If only the feeling would last forever. When his lips left hers, he pulled her closer to him and kissed her forehead, her cheeks, and her neck. She groaned. Her body had been trained to respond to these things, though her heart hadn't been. Up to this point, she kept her feelings closed off from every man who had ever touched and kissed her. She struggled for the ability to do that now, but it was hard to do something when a part of her wanted to feel the uplifting emotion that made her feel as if she could walk on water. When he stepped away from her, she opened her eyes, wondering why he had stopped. Then he pulled something out of his pocket. She had to squint in order to see it in the moonlight. A ring. How long had he been carrying a ring with him? She was too stunned to stop him as he reached for her hand and slid the ring on her finger. It was the most beautiful gesture a man had ever given her. She wiped the tears from her eyes and imagined, just for this moment, that she really could be a wife, married to this sweet man, living in this simple house. The feeling was so real, and she wanted to hold on to it. She used to dream of marrying a good man long ago, before her parents died and her entire world changed, back when she was innocent. But she wasn't innocent, and no amount of wishing would make it so. "I can't," she cried and yanked the ring off her finger. Her hand shook as she pressed the warm metal into the palm of his hand. "I just can't." He fell on his knees and hugged her. "Stop, please. I can't take this," she said as tears fell from her eyes. "Don't make this harder than it has to be." But he wouldn't release her. "I'm not who you think I am, John. You need a good woman, one you can be proud to take home to your mother. You deserve that." He looked up at her, and she saw the hurt in his eyes, the greenest eyes she'd ever seen. They were as beautiful as his heart. "I want to," she confessed, surprised even as the words came out of her mouth. "I do want to." He took her hand again, but she snatched it back before he could slip the ring back on her finger. "But I can't. I can't!" She pushed him away and ran out of the house. She rushed to the safety of her simple dwelling and closed the door. She leaned against it, and unable to stop her tears, she spent the next hour crying. The next morning came too soon, and Eliza remained on the floor next to the door. She had managed to doze off a couple of times, but she couldn't successfully sleep. The kiss John had given her the night before had unlocked a well of emotions that she had trouble handling. She'd gotten good at putting a mask on her face and acting as if everything was all right when it wasn't. Now the mask had crumbled around her, and she was left feeling far too vulnerable. She could still feel the cool metal of the gold band on her finger. She swore that memory would be seared into her mind forever. Was there anything lovelier than belonging to a man who loved her? But he didn't know about her past. If he knew, he wouldn't care for her. He just wouldn't, and she hated the thought that he might not love her anymore. She wanted him to love her. But she shouldn't. What about Daphne? But Daphne wasn't there. That didn't mean she wasn't going to show up. But it'd been 2 months. If Daphne had been delayed, surely she would have sent a letter. Maybe Daphne had changed her mind. Maybe she wasn't coming. That was possible. And if Daphne wasn't coming, would it be acceptable for Eliza to marry John? But he doesn't know, Eliza thought. Tell him. But what if he doesn't want to be with me anymore when he finds out? And so the thought circulated in her head. If she knew how to break the cycle, she would gladly do it. Someone knocked on her door. Startled, she jumped off the floor, even though her body was sore and stiff. She quickly wiped her face to get rid of the fresh tears and opened the door. "Good morning," she told John, who winced. She lowered her voice. "Sorry." He held a pad of paper and a pencil. "Let's go to the house," she said. "I'll make coffee and we can talk there." He nodded and walked with her to the house. She placed the coffee pot on the stove, careful not to bang it. "What do you want to ask?" she asked, as she got everything ready to make the coffee. He thought for a moment and then wrote something down. When she finished, she sat next to him at the table and took the pad. "What happened last night?" she asked. By his poor spelling, it was hard to tell if that's what he meant, but she figured after being drunk, he would naturally ask that question first. He nodded. "Sean gave you some moonshine to drink, and you got drunk from it." She paused and chose her next words carefully. "Do you remember what happened?" He took the pad and wrote, "Little." "You remember a little bit," she said. He nodded. "What do you remember?" she asked. He scratched his head and then wrote, "People laugh at me. Aaron take me home. You take boots off. We kiss. I sleep on floor." Oh, great. He remembered more than she hoped he did. She took a deep breath. "Right. You were drunk, so you started dancing by yourself." He cringed. "Aaron and Sean brought you back here, and I took your boots off so you could sleep comfortably in the bed," she continued. He nodded. "Then you asked me to marry you again, and you kissed me. I said no like I always do." He nodded again. She studied his face. He didn't look like he knew more than that. That was good. If he knew that she let it slip that she wanted to marry him, he would haul her right off to the church, whether he was feeling good or not. She cleared her throat and continued, "You didn't make it back to your bed. You ended up sleeping on the floor, and now it's morning and your head hurts." He wrote something else and then handed it to her. She laughed. "Was the kiss good?" He nodded, his expression serious. "If you don't remember enjoying it, then I guess it wasn't." She tapped him on the arm and gave him the pad back. "Good. They can continue on as if nothing had happened. I bet the coffee's ready." She got out of the chair and checked it. "Almost ready." He motioned to her. She glanced over at him when she grabbed the cups. "What?" He held up the paper, pointed to his question, and then pointed to her. "Did I think the kiss was good?" she guessed. He nodded. She hid her amusement. A lady doesn't discuss such things. Rolling his eyes, he pointed to her again. Well, she guessed that she could at least make him feel good about himself. "I didn't hate it," she finally said. He did not care for the answer. "That's all I'm saying," she said. "Now the coffee's ready. You'll feel better once it's in your system." She poured the hot liquid into their cups. "I know this is terrible timing, but I need to go to the general store. Frank said the apples will be in today, and I want to try making a pie." He blanched and shook his head. She placed the cups on the table and sat back down. "You can't avoid going to town for the rest of your life. So you did something foolish. Everyone's done something foolish at one time or another. You just need to pick yourself right back up and keep going. You can't let these things set you back." Picking up his cup, he shook his head again before he drank from it. "Well, don't you want to try one of my pies?" she asked. He shook his head. "What if I told you that this is important to me? I want to see if I can do it." His expression softened. Then he put the cup aside and wrote, "Marry me," but he missed the extra R. "You spelled Mary wrong," she said. He rolled his eyes. "Mary is a woman's name," she said. "See?" She wrote the name down. "Marry is to wed someone." He took the paper and pencil from her and quickly inserted a sloppy R to the word. Then he gave it to her. "You're impossible. Do you know that?" she asked. Shaking his head, he pointed to her. "Me? I'm not being impossible," she argued. He shot her a "you've got to be kidding me" look. "I told you from the beginning that I won't marry you," she reminded him. "I can't help it if you refuse to accept the answer." He reached into his pocket and pulled out the ring. She held her breath. Did he remember? He held it out to her. She gulped her coffee even though it was burning her tongue, and she practically threw the cup into the sink. He winced, making her regret making the loud noise. "I should wash up for the day," she whispered. "I'll be back. If you don't want to take me to town, then I'll go by myself." Giving her a yuck facial expression, he nodded. "Yes, as in you'll take me?" she asked. He sighed but nodded. "Thank you, John." She paused on her way to the door. She walked back over to him and kissed his cheek. "I'm sorry I left you alone at the town hall. I had promised you that I wouldn't, and I did. I really didn't think Bethany would keep me away for so long. You getting drunk the way you did, that was my fault." He shook his head and pointed to himself. "No, it's mine." She whispered and kissed the top of his head. As soon as she realized what she was doing, she excused herself and left. She made her way to the well and gathered a fresh pail of water. Once she shut the door of her home, she poured the water into the basin. She had hoped that he was going to kiss her again. That's why she lingered by him like she had. What was wrong with her? She had been granted a reprieve, and all she could do was tempt fate? She washed her face, willing the nagging thought from her mind. She could not love him. She was a prostitute, for goodness sake. She had no right to marry anyone. "You were a prostitute," she thought. "You aren't one now. You've been rescued from that life." She slowly dried her face with a towel. Did John have to know? It wasn't like the past could be undone. Telling him would not change anything. And since Daphne decided not to show up, well, did it make any sense that they should spend their lives alone? She set the towel down on the nightstand and changed her clothes. She didn't have to make a decision right now. This could wait. What she needed to do was get ready so they could go to town. She would think about this later.